What's up, kings and queens? It's your boy Dan from Daft Previews, and in today's video, I'm going to give you 3 of my best bets in this upcoming game between the Indiana Fever and the Los Angeles Spark. If that sounds interesting, let's go! So jumping into Outlier the way that we always do. Outlier is my go-to tool to get all the data I need to make all my player prop bets on a whole range of sports. If you're interested in checking out Outlier, I've got a 7-day free trial. You just got to click that link in the video description below. Now, give you guys a bit of a heads up. You're probably expecting Caitlin Clark bet here or a Mitchell bet here. You're probably not going to find that. And the reason being is that Aaliyah Boston has the best matchup today against the Spark. The problem with Aaliyah Boston is post the Olympic break, she's been terrible at scoring the ball. Like, when I talk about her matchup being good, like, it's so good if you look at the play styles, but she just hasn't been delivering as of late. Now, if you're looking at it over 14.5 points for Aaliyah Boston, I might as well talk about it. We'll go, this is a lean. I am not betting on this, and I'll explain to you the reasons why. So, Aaliyah Boston, where you at? Here she is, 14.5. Now, she's under this in 7 consecutive games. You can see it right here. And all 7 of those games are post the Olympic break. The matchup is excellent. The Spark, they allow the most points to centers in the league. They do that by far. They allow a whole lot of points down low. They have the worst defensive rating defending the post, and that's where Aaliyah Boston scores most of her points. Now, Aaliyah Boston, she's also gone over in both games, 17 points in each game. And I'll crunch the numbers against the worst teams in the league in points in the paint. Now, Aaliyah Boston's only covered this line at a 41% hit rate. So she's had good matchups in the past, and she hasn't capitalized on them. She has, however, beat up on the Sparks before with 17 points in each game. For me, I'm finding there's too much contradicting information, and I'm just choosing not to bet on her. But if you did bet on her, I wouldn't shit on the play. The matchup is excellent. She just hasn't been playing well as of late. The other person I obviously looked into is for Caitlin Clark. I didn't take a bet on her, but let's talk about it for a quick second. She had a great matchup. We were talking about scoring the ball. The Spark, terrible defensively. Caitlin Clark does a lot of damage in the pick and roll. And the Spark, they're the 3rd worst in the league at defending that pick and roll. 21.5 points. It's quite high, to be honest. Like, she's only hit this line in 11 out of 33 games this season. She has, however, been killing it post the Olympic break. You can see it here. She's gone over in 5 out of her last 7 games. So I'd probably lean to the over. The matchup is nice, but that Aaliyah Boston threat is scaring me a little bit. If Aaliyah Boston has a big game, Caitlin Clark could rattle off 12 to 14 assists and may not hit this 21.5. So that's my only concern there. But let's get straight into the bet. So if we're talking about, taking a look here, post the Olympic break for Dearica Hamby, she's under in 6 out of her last 8 games. What we've noticed is that her minutes are down a lot. The Sparks, they're putting all their attention to the rebuild, and they're starting to tank their season for the 2nd year in a row. She's had strong games against the Fever in the past. Check this out, 30 and 27 points and rebounds in the last 2 games. One thing to keep in mind with this, in these 2 games, she played 38 minutes and took almost 13 shot attempts. A bit of a dose of reality. As of late, she's not doing that anymore. She's playing less than 30 minutes a night, 29 minutes, and she's taking less than 10 shots per game. So if we think about her matchup and the style that the Fever have played defensively, she scores 82% of her points come from within the paint, and she's up against the Indiana Fever, who allow the 2nd fewest points in the paint across the league. In terms of play type, she scores a lot as the roller in the pick and roll. Believe it or not, the Fever ranked number 1 at defending the pick and roller in this play. So she scored 18 and 17 points against the Fever last time when they matched up, right? Quite high. But one thing to keep in mind is that she was averaging over 20 points per game at this time. This was May, start of the season. So she under-delivered on her averages at that time. In terms of her rebound, she's still the best rebounder on this team for the Spark by far. But the Fever, they also allow the 4th fewest rebounds to her position. If you don't have the option to take her points plus rebounds, under 16.5 points would be the pivot that I would make here for Dearica Hamby. Her minutes aren't there, the opportunities aren't there, and the Fever should run away with it. The next pick that I do have, though, is Rickea Jackson, and I've bet on her a few times this season, and I think I've got a lot of success betting on her, believe it or not. She's a great person to bet on. Her lines have moved up now compared to where you used to be able to get them, so kind of just a good matchup. So I'm looking at over 15.5 points for Rickea Jackson. It's a plus money play, this one, and she has the ideal matchup here against the Spark. She has been the most consistent player for the Spark post the Olympic break. You can see it here on this graph. No less than 13 points from her every single game. Line at 15.5, so that 13-point floor doesn't matter, but The line's moved to a point where you have to wait till she has the right matchup to take it, and I think we've got it today. Now, Rickea Jackson, she scores a lot of her points as a spot-up shooter. In the pick and roll as the ball handler, plus she gets to the free throw line as well. Now, the Fever, they rank towards the bottom of the league in defending these play types. In the pick and roll, they're good at stopping the person rolling, which is Dearica Hamby most of the time, but they're not great at stopping the person with the ball. Part of their lineup, she plays the most minutes for the Spark, which is pretty crazy. I've actually run the numbers. Now, in games against the bottom 4 teams at defending spot-up shooters, where Rickea Jackson plays more than 30 minutes, she's hit this line in 3 out of 4 games, and she averages 18.3 points per game. Another thing I love about this pick is that she's had strong games against the Fever before. 16 and 12 points in their last 2 games. This was early in the season. Keeping in mind how young this girl is, she was only going to get better throughout the year. Now, she only played 21 minutes in both of these games and only averaged 7 shot attempts. So at this point in the season, she was only averaging 9 points a game. She scored 16 and 12 against them. She's now playing 35 minutes, taking over 13 shot attempts over her last 5. So with the extra opportunities and the ideal matchup, I think there's potential for her to get 20 points in this game. Not going to lie to you. Let's jump into the next one. Now, this next one might be a little bit difficult to find. I'd have to go through a couple of sportsbook to find it, but I eventually did. And I like Odyssey Sims here, and I'm looking at the over in her points plus assists. Now, this bet's no longer available. Thank you. What about this one? That's not available. Give me anything on Odyssey Sims. Here we go. All right. I'm looking at points plus assist. I got it at 18.5 as an FYI. The lines right now, they're a little bit whack, but if you can get Odyssey Sim at 9.5 points, I'd take it immediately. But I think the correct line is about 12.5 or whatever it may be. But I'm looking at 18.5 points assists, but I'll get the PRA up there. The graphs look very similar. She's not a big rebounder anyway. Now, for 18.5 points and assists for Odyssey Sims, it's an interesting look. So she got traded to the Spark during the Olympic break, meaning she's only played a limited number of games for them. In her first 4 games, limited action. You can see it here. Her minutes were quite down, between 16 and 23 minutes. Over her last 3 games, she's led the team in minutes, like 31, 34. She's a lead guard in those games. If we break down, this is just points and assists, 36, 21, and 14 points plus assists. So I think the potential here is massive. This Sparks offense really sucks ass, and she's going to be counted on heavily to drive it. So the matchup tonight against the Fever is great. The Fever score a whole lot of points, but they also let that shit in as well. The Fever are bottom 2 in defensive ranking. Whilst they don't let many points on the inside, the opponents on the outside have had a bit of success. Now, Sims scores a lot of her points as a pick-and-roll ball handler, as a spot-up shooter, plus she gets to the free throw line as well. Sound like Rickea Jackson? Yeah, it does. Now, they don't look the same, but in the ways that they score, it's actually quite similar. The Fever, they do rank towards the bottom of the league in all of these categories. Here are some stats for you. Just check this shit out. So Odyssey Sims this season, she's played 10 games this season where she saw more than 30 minutes of actions. In those games, she's covered this line in 18 out of 10 games, averaging 24.3 points plus assists. The 2 teams that she went under against, who happened to be the Storm and the Dream, they rank 2nd and 5th in defensive rating. The Fever, they are 2nd last in this ranking, and up against a similar opponent, like the Dallas Wings, for example. She did this recently, 36 points plus assists. She even played the Fever once this season when she was playing for Dallas. She scored 24 points and racked up 9 assists in that game. So I think the matchup for this game for Odyssey Sims is great. The Spark, they're probably going to score, between 70 and 90 points within this game. They got to get it from somewhere. And I think it's going to come from Odyssey Sims, going to come from Rickea Jackson. And I'm happy to take Dearica Hamby's under. Points and rebounds, we're taking that whole under. Now, I'm getting this out to you as soon as I possibly can because we've got the first game of NFL coming up. What is it? Thursday night football coming soon. So I want to do a dive into that, get some picks out to you. But if you're interested in finding all of my picks, obviously VIP, you can check that out. There's a promo code there with it. If you go into my store, you'll see that there's a specific page for NFL, one for NBA. VIP captures absolutely every single sport. By far, it gives you the most value, but I'll leave it up to you to decide if you want to jump on with me or not. But I appreciate you if you made it this far. I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.